Mainly, it was the practicalities of the writing process, which was an incredibly squeezed time frame. They'd already been developing and working on a screenplay, which they decided against and decided to start again. But it was a very late stage, so we were essentially in pre-production when we started writing. So any time that we had anything resembling a coherent idea, production would want to build it or design it, and we weren't even sure if it was a good idea yet. So Doug and I were under, and Justin, who amazingly took on this job with no script. It was just the promise of a Star Trek film. It was like we were in the inception, the preparation, and the execution were happening all at once, and that's a stressful way to work.
Early on in the run up to making this film, Simon reached out to us rather anxiously and said, "Look, here's a draft. It's early. There's work to be done, and we would be very interested to hear your thoughts, and if there's anything you would like to include in your character, any suggestions or ideas you would like to see, then let's start the dialogue." And that was really kind of the beginning of what became a wonderful collaborative relationship, where right throughout the making of the film, we were in constant communication and collectively working to make this as good as it could possibly be. And it was a lot of fun.
I remember several times, like in Vancouver, you would be out to, because we were all hanging out together because we were away from home, and like me and Carl would be at the end of a table having just eaten a whole bunch of pasta, just heads together, brows furrowed, just talking about what we could do. And it was so great. It's so great to have such a group of intelligent, intuitive, instinctive actors who could bring something to what we'd already written, and really just sprinkle magic dust on top of it. The thing that Carl brought to it, which was really interesting, it was something that didn't make it into the final cut just because of timing and pace. But it was very interesting. An example of what, say, Carl would do would be to mention the fact that Carl would have trouble with a phaser. I mean, Bones would have trouble with a phaser. You take it from that.
One of the things that that I wanted to see was exploring McCoy's reluctance to take life. The fact that when he got into Starfleet, as a trained doctor, and got trained up, obviously, to be an astronaut, space explorer, that he never envisaged that he would be put into a situation where he would be forced to take life in order to protect those, his family, those that he loved. And I thought it would be very interesting to, explore that in this film.
Both Doug and I felt there was a dearth of, and Lindsay Weber, our producer, felt there was a dearth of strong female characters in the TOS universe. We have, Uhura's been shouldering a lot of the responsibility for representing women, and so we brought in a very resourceful, young, tenacious female character in Jayla, and also a very authoritative senior officer in Commodore Paris as well at Yorktown. Jayla, we wanted to be this sort of someone who had grown up on Altamid, whose family had been snatched by Kral, and who had escaped from his clutches and had been, foraging and had found a place to live. And she taught herself all these skills. She discovered technology and hip hop, from the archive of this spaceship, and she was just a really interesting sort of child stroke wise, not a wise man figure, wise woman figure. And finding Sophia was just the key to that character. Her brilliant speech patterns, her sort of French Algerian, sort of the exoticness that she brings with her ethnicity, and putting that into the character. It was kind of really fun to create.
They're completely different. JJ's his approach on set is one that is he's hyper. He keeps the morale of the crew up, and he's constantly on a microphone. He's rapping. He's telling jokes. Justin couldn't be more different. He's actually a lot more quiet and reserved, but he's intense and he's focused, and he brings his long-term passion and love of Star Trek, and he infuses his shooting style to create something that is kind of like the perfect mix of old Star Trek and yet contemporizing it and making it action-packed and exciting and new. And I was also really appreciative of how sensitive he was to the group dynamic and to what we had going on. He didn't come in and try and dominate, or it was just a very subtle, gentle kind of, it's like he was a real collaborator.
We wanted to make sure that there was at least one, mentioned LGBT character in the thing. Of course, there are thousands, but you just maybe they don't all wave to you and tell you who they are. But we decided to make it Sulu because this is an alternate universe. There are alternate details. There could be profound changes in that universe. We wanted people to know that, so it didn't look as if Sulu had chosen anything. Because that's not how it works. But we like the idea of it being an existing character because it was like something you just didn't know about somebody. You don't always find out everything about a person when you meet them. You might find down the line they don't like broccoli, or they can't drive, or they have a sexuality you didn't know about. And that was the thinking behind making it Sulu, rather than bringing in a new LGBT character, which we will also do at some point, of course. But you'd have to kind of fanfare that in and sort of say, here's this person, their name is this, their job is this, their orientation is this, which I felt a bit forced, to be honest.
I think that Star Trek has always been about unity and hope and optimism. It's a very positive vision of the future. It's not some dystopian vision where it's all nuclear annihilation. And I think that that's something that audiences really kind of latch onto. At its core, it is about unity. It's about a vision of mankind that's moved beyond conflict, that's moved beyond persecution. It's about inclusivity. It doesn't matter what your race is, your religion, your sexuality, and it is about mankind joining together in unity in the spirit of exploration. And I think that particularly in this day and age, with everything that's currently going on in the world, Star Trek is relevant now as it was in the 60s, which was also a very volatile time. And there's a lot to be learned from it. Star Trek is it's a lighthouse. It's a beacon of what we collectively all aspire to be like.